Okay, here what's happening is I'm uploading new firmware to the SP Pro. This is probably not the ideal time to be doing this. However, I'm doing it. The main reason I say this is possibly not the ideal time is because it's now 5:52 PM on a Friday, and I doubt that I'll get any technical support at this time of night. So I'm not worried about sending the new firmware up to it, because it does have more hybrid grid off-grid settings. What I'm concerned about is this button here, Reset SP Pro Now. After reset, the SP Pro will appear to be offline for up to 3 minutes. What I don't know is if power will go off when I do that, and if the thing will boot back up. So we're going to give it a go. We'll see what happens. I'll save the first portion of this recording to see if it, just in case the power goes off, at least I'll have a copy of this, and I guess I'll see you on the other side, either that or it'll just keep going. We'll see. It's a very interesting thing, and I can't wait to see all the new settings I'll get. It's going to be cool. So nearly there, 93, away it goes. It's committed once this is done, but it won't become active until I hit the reset button. Now I could be sensible and schedule it to do it in the morning or something like that. Just verifying it now. But hey, would it really hurt us to go without power for once? It'll be the only time it ever happens. Before I do this, let's just have a quick look over here at the old settings for input capacity schedule. So as you can see, I have set it up so I can pull in a certain percentage of grid power during critical times, like for example 7 AM to 8 PM when breakfast is being had, then during the day while I've got the solar burn, then in the afternoon and evening when dinner's being cooked, and then from that point until 7 AM in the morning. At the moment it's all configured to basically pull in no power ever, because it's come into summer, and we're getting nearly 35 kilowatts off the roof every day, and the system's doing just fine with that. So I guess we'll reset it and have a look how these settings change. Okay, here's the scary bit. I've got my torch right next to me. Let's see what happens. Well, nothing's happened so far. Let's have a look what's happening here. Disconnected. Alright, I'm going to go outside and have a look at it. Back in a bit. Okay, as you can see, power's still on, so that's a good sign. I was a bit worried that wouldn't be the case. I'll come out here, have a look what's happening in here. Switch on a light, and there's no lights on, but that's good to know. So it's automatically just transferring power directly from the grid. The SP Pro appears to be off. That's obviously installing the new firmware. I guess it's not a horrible emergency if it doesn't. Whoa, there we go. It's coming back on. Oh, that doesn't look good at all. Oh, okay. Nothing to panic about, people. All sorts of lights are coming on in here, but overall, she's looking pretty healthy. The fuel gauge is now obviously configured differently. I guess it's lost its settings. So what I'll do is I'll go back and configure it correctly to the settings that I want. I guess that's a success. I'm very, very happy that worked. There's no burning smells and no loss of power, so I'll get back to the computer and get it configured. Okay, so here we are, still disconnected. Let's see if we can connect. Hopefully she'll come back online. Well, it sees it, and here we go. First look at the new system. Yeah, battery state of charge is not 85.1%, so it's got that wrong. It was actually sitting at 95%. The lockout's now gone, so it's pulling in grid power. That's cool. It should adjust the state of charge when it realizes the voltages get stable, but let's have a look at what I've got to deal with here. So, AC input, wow, that's completely different. I guess this has been, oh, solar hybrid control. Didn't have this before. Cool. I have no idea how any of this works yet. So battery charging can be turned on and off here. All this stuff is turned off. Date time activation. Oh, it's just coming online now. No? Alright, I'll enable it then. Just to be safe, I'm just going to do a get SP Pro configuration here. Okay, well, that didn't take it long. It's already decided to be set at 100%. Pretty much, it's still throwing a lot of kilowatts at the batteries just to, get them into a long-term float. Which, sorry system, you don't really get to long-term float very often. It's not holidays yet. You got work to do. So we got to configure this thing correctly. Now, it's interesting with this firmware upgrade, it's a whole different perspective on how this system can be used. Completely different to the way I was using it before. What it has here, and I've had some time to give this a really good thing, is it has the ability to set all these priorities across different days, days of the week here, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to these systems, interestingly enough, granularity in your configuration is not really helpful because you've got a couple of constants that vary with the seasons and the weather. That's how much power are you bringing in, how much power are you using, and what's the size of your battery bank. And that's really about it. So let's have a look at the amount of power I've got to charge the batteries. So this is today, and just to explain these lines, this is I didn't write this website, but I wrote the software uploading to it. The very top line here is the voltage of the batteries. So this is 12 a.m. start of the day, and the batteries are under load, and we're at 4950 volts. And then the sun comes up and it starts charging from the solar power, and the voltage comes up. And this orange line here, which is the temperature, I'm supposed to be using it for temperature. I'm using it to measure the state of charge of the batteries. So coming into midnight, they're at 89% state of charge. And then as the solar came in, they went up and up and up. Right now it's charging 100% of grid power, so and I've had to turn my logging off because I'm reconfiguring the system, and it's at 100% now. Down here, this little red line is the power coming off the batteries. So during the night, all this power is coming off the batteries. Once the solar kicked in, no power came off the batteries. The end result, as we can see today, I've pulled 7.5 kilowatts off the batteries. Dinner hasn't been cooked yet, and I've bought in a total of 35 kilowatts. So in order to get this as close to off-grid as possible, and I'll say this right up front, there's not enough paneling on this roof. I probably invested in one forklift battery more than I should have, but yeah, in some ways that's regretful, but in other ways it's cool, because it means I get to play with this system, and if I make a mistake, I haven't damaged my batteries at all. So 35 kilowatts, we'll say, is what I can bring in during a day on a really, really good day. So I'm going to configure my system to say that if that hasn't happened, it's going to be supported by AC power. I could not do this before the firmware upgrade. It just was not possible at all. So I'm really, really happy that I can do this. Okay, so to do that, what I need to do is I need to work out, based on these configuration settings here, I need to work out what to do in terms of the amount of amps that I'm going to have for AC load support. It's a brand new feature. It means the batteries will support the AC. And the way I see that is if the batteries are providing 100% support, then there's going to be no AC being used. But sadly, that doesn't appear to be the case. If we have a look here, it's pulling 8 kilowatts off the grid, it's charging the batteries, and yet I've set it at 65 amps support load and 64 amps grid load. So it seems to be favoring the AC source. So that's something that I would really like to fix. So what I'm going to do, I found out you can change that to kilowatts, which is cool, is I'm going to tell it that it can use 0 grid power and that it can use 2 kilowatts of battery power. Okay, and I'm going to have the state of charge support. So once it gets below 84%, which is the amount that I believe I can replace in a day, it will stop using the AC support from the batteries and just go straight to grid. This is what I think. I'm going to say it can only recharge off renewable. I don't want to pay to recharge my batteries. So let's put this in and have a look how that affects the system. Done. Let's have a look. And there we go. It's pulling. That took a little while to settle down on the grid power, but yeah, it's pulling the power off the batteries. Perfect. It's not charging the batteries, even though the grid is turned on, which is good. And I guess now we want to do an experiment and turn the stove on. So bear with me while I go turn the stove on, and we'll watch what happens. Okay, absolutely perfect. It's actually pulling the 2.12 off the batteries, which it's not supposed to do, but it's actually augmenting the house demand with AC power, which is great. That's exactly what I wanted the system to do. This allows me to use a single setting here. I don't have to bother with all of this stuff, just one, and I just say the most the batteries can throw at the house is 2 kilowatts. Now if AC is out, it'll pull from the batteries, and if the batteries get below this state of charge, it will pull from the grid. So this is a really, really cool maintenance-free way to set this up to protect the lifespan of the batteries, and where I need extra power, I just buy a little bit extra, so I can have a welding party, do whatever I want. I'll tell you what, getting this new software on hasn't been fun. There's been a couple of incidents, and but hey, this is way cool. I'm really happy with it. Thank you for watching.